Greetings, spiritual classmates. My name is Jasmin, founder of AM Abundance from YesI'mAbundance.com. And on today's video, I'm going to be talking about what you can expect as far as writing papers, tests and quiz, and maybe any other things that come up in regard to getting into a clinical mental health counseling program as a grad student. Now, I started my journey as a grad student January 2023. I'm moving on to be a year. So I anticipate to graduate 2025. Okay, that's my anticipation date. However, I had a lot of preconceived fears. I thought that when you get into grad school, there was going to be a flood of papers that you have to write. And that is true. You do have to write a considerable amount of papers. However, the length of the papers are not too bad. And I think that's what makes a difference. So I have found, and maybe I'll just kind of go back, because it also depends on what school you go to, what program you're in. If you're in a cohort is where like there's a group of students who start at the same time and they all finish at the same time. You can't take a class before somebody else. You all are pretty much like on the same schedule. Whereas the school that I go to, our classes are 8 weeks. You can register not any class really, but you can register for a class to take every 8 weeks. And typically I take 3 classes within a semester. So those courses eventually they do overlap with each other, but I'm not cohort. And so when it comes to writing the papers, I have found that sometimes I will have like 3 papers due within that 8-week course. And I think the most that I've had so far was like 6 pages. 6 pages. And that's not terrible. However, you do consider like if I have 3 papers to write for that one class and one of the pages is 6 pages, they kind of do total up to be like probably over 10 pages, depending on the course. There was some courses that I took that I only needed like maybe 6 total pages within that 8-week. So it just really depends. My tip on that I have found to be helpful, because depending on the school that you're at, my school, we're unable to get more. You can only get 2 C's in a class, right? In order to be eligible to graduate. In order to be eligible, I think, to even possibly stay in the program. I'm not really sure. So that means that we do have to do our best. We have to come with our best writing skills. And I have found that when you write as much as you can, because say for an example, one of the classes that I just got done, I think it was like a research class, and I was very nervous to take that. I don't do well with research. And we had like a paper due like the 2nd week of class, while I was taking another class, which was an intensive class. And so what I have found is that if I do like a paragraph a day or something like that, it is better than me cramming at the last minute. Okay, so make sure that when you are doing your papers for school, that you're starting somewhere and start as early as you can. Now, is it manageable? I believe that it is. I came to school with preconceived fears, because I work full-time. I'm a mom, I have a family, and I just didn't know if it was going to be manageable. But I have found that it is completely manageable. And you just have to do your best. And for my school, I really don't know what professor I have until like class starts. So that's an important factor too, because every professor grades differently. And you want to make sure, like obviously our papers are like the bulk of the grade, right? Those type of assignments. And then you have like the discussion boards too. But in regards to the papers, if you have trouble with like writing, like editing, making sure your APA format is on fleek or whatever the case may be, use your writing center. Okay, let's try to get ahead as much as you can with that, because I have found like I've gotten a lot of feedback. Well, not a lot, but this one particular professor was giving me feedback on my structure of content for my papers, and that's okay. I still passed the class, but just learning experience and learning after that, I think I could have utilized the writing center more. And I am online. I want to say that I am an online student. So make sure, you do your best that you can, but, take it easy, take a day at a time, do your best to try to like even write a paragraph a day or 2 paragraphs a day, right? To stay ahead before your due date so that you don't get behind, and utilize the writing center. Next is the quizzes and tests. Now, like I said, because I'm 8 weeks, I have found that some of my courses will have like 16 quizzes. That scared me when I was looking at the syllabus, but I don't want to scare you, okay? So it's actually not terrible, to be honest with you, because I'm online, and we can use our notes and stuff like that. So you should be reading, you should be taking notes, you should be doing that, right? But in regards to if I felt like the quizzes were tricky, not necessarily. I mean, it really does make you utilize your critical thinking, but there is the answers from the text like that. I can't really explain that anymore. It's just like any other thing in elementary school, high school, middle school, whatever. Taking a test, you have to read to pass the test, right? So that's another thing. And just make sure that you are taking good notes, asking questions if you have to. And if there's any videos that your course comes with for that week that you can watch, that may help you understand the material a little bit better, taking advantage of those, okay? So then the third thing is the discussion posts. Now, I don't really care for discussion posts like that. I think I've done them so much when I was in undergrad. In school period, in college period, I'm just over them. But the discussion posts, obviously that is another, to be honest, that's like the second biggest thing within like the course load. The first one is the papers, okay? Second one is the discussion posts. And that one, I have found that if the teacher says the word count need to be this, you better make sure that word count is that. Because I had gotten points taken off for my word count being like 3 words less, okay? And making sure that you are adding the citations the correct way and responding to your classmates, okay? That's another thing too. So that word count needs to be there. It should be. I got points taken off, and I didn't think nothing of it, but it is very important that you do your best on the discussion posts as well. All in all, do I think the workload in a clinical mental health counseling program is manageable? I'm going to say yes, absolutely. I think that if I can do it, you can do it too. And if you couldn't do it, that's okay. Do your best. That's all that you can do. And reach out for help, right? Don't overwork yourself. Don't overwork yourself, because you still need your brain power. You need your energy for other areas of your life. And one thing that has also helped me was doing my best to work ahead. Not all the time was I able to do that. Not all the time. There were many times where I crammed. There were many times that not only did I cram, but I probably did a paper 2 days before it was due. Okay. And sometimes that's where you kind of get your ideas like right before the paper's due. That's okay too. But if that's not something that you really want to do all the time, and you want to make sure that, or not that you don't want to do all the time, but if you are not good at writing with structure, and what that means, like having your APA format on fleek, commas, periods, all the other stuff, right? You do want to make sure that you get that looked at before you turn it in, because you never know what kind of professor you'll have. You don't know if the professor is a hard grader. You don't know, and you could have like a really excellent paper, but if that content is off, it'll drop the points down. Okay, so that's the end of this video. If you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to me by my email. It's probably in the description below, or you can message me on Instagram for more information about what I think of being a clinical mental health counseling grad student. Take care and enjoy your journey.